What is up everyone, Crypto Comrade here, back with another video. In this video today, I want to talk about recent events in the market, what I've learned from the recent events, and how we can better prepare in case something like this comes again in our way. So I'm sure most of you have noticed we had a big dump in crypto. There have been a lot of explanations, a lot of people trying to make a narrative. As I've said many times before, the cryptocurrency space is very narrative driven. People need something to believe in to justify what happens, when most of the time the truth is we don't really know what happens. Um, Most likely it was leverage again, associated with a lot of FUD, the Elon Musk FUD, but well, I digress. Whatever the reason, I need to be completely honest with you, and I have to make my own self-criticism and try to understand what I did. So whatever the reason, the most important thing is and I believe most of you as well, like me, I was not prepared. I did not, first of all, I did not anticipate it. And second of all, I was not ready. I didn't take preventive measures, so to speak. So first of all, as we can see, things are starting to look like they are recovering. Some coins are still down a lot, like Bitcoin here, still down 16%. Bitcoin had a big drop. But some of the major altcoins, like Ethereum, is still like in a good buying spot if you want to get in the market. Again, not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor. Surprisingly, some coins are holding up pretty good. Cardano is actually amazing right now. But I digress. So let's take a look at the charts to try to see could we or could we have not prepared for this. Now, let me just erase all the drawings. Okay, so taking a look back, we can clearly see something that the market was losing steam. Okay, if we take a look, if we take a look at what has been happening in the recent times, we can see that we had a big run. Okay, almost always above the 21-day moving average, sometimes touching it, but always bouncing and going higher and higher and higher. Now, this was a big up move, and this was also a big up move. But as we can see, it has been harder and harder and harder to gain just a little bit above our previous high. So our higher highs that we have been printing were progressively harder to get and more modest. Okay. So this is one thing that should have caught my attention. I did see that the market was starting to go on a downtrend because, as you can see, we crossed below the 21-day moving average. We bounced on the 100-day, but then we kind of failed to go above it. We can call it like a retest, a bearish retest, okay? So we could have anticipated here that something was going to go wrong. However, I did see things going down. The obvious level for retracement was this level. Why is this the obvious level? Well, because it was our previous all-time high before we had this run, okay? So after we've lost all these levels, this was the one to hold, especially here, the 42K. And I saw this as like the worst case scenario. I honestly did not expect us to go to this level, which was the next big level, where we had caught support once. But we did go there. So I was kind of surprised that this happened, and frankly, I was caught off guard. And I've been thinking, well, things look like they are rebouncing. We may not be out of danger yet. I will get onto it soon. But anyways, I was thinking when things were around here, and I was just checking my my portfolio every 5 minutes. I was thinking, if this bull market does end, I don't think it's over, but we need to be prepared in case it does, because we tend to be optimistic. I am a very optimistic person. I have looked at things and I see this Bitcoin going much higher. I've made my predictions. You can see my videos. I've got nothing to hide. But I think it's time, and it's a mistake I made, and I don't want to make it again. I should be prepared in case things don't go as I'm planning, as my best case scenario. So I need to prepare for my worst case scenario. So what I could have done and would have been helpful was to take profit. Okay, that's the number one lesson I'm taking from this drop, and it's something I want to try to make often and as regularly as possible. So take profit more regularly. Of course, taking profit will limit my upside. Okay, that's obvious. If I take money out, I'll be gaining less. But I think the big thing we need to start to see here is that for some of us that have been in the market for some time now, the gains are starting to get good. They are starting to get juicy, and it's hard for when we get a 2x, 4x, 5x. We just want another 2x or something. You know, we get greedy. So I'm gonna try to implement some sort of systemic strategy that I must obey to force me to take profits more regularly. Because, I mean, it's easy to want the best and to maybe get a little bit dreamy about what can happen. So anyways, I've included an indicator here that I'm gonna start to look at to try to take profit. So this indicator up here is the MACD indicator. So the MACD indicator is an indicator that measures momentum. Okay. Basically, it measures how strong the current trend is going. What it does is it calculates the difference between a more faster moving average and a more slower moving average. And the difference is plotted here by this blue line. So the higher the value of the line, the bigger the difference between the moving averages is. And this translates to a quicker or a more higher uptrend in the more recent time than in the later time. Okay, so the quickest moving average it's increasing higher than the slower moving average. Okay, it means that we have positive momentum. It means that things are with a good steam. Okay. And the orange line is another moving average that we use like a base. Okay, so if we are expanding above our base, that means that we are in a positive momentum. If we go below, we are in a negative momentum, so to speak. Okay, we can also look at the baseline to see some other things, but that's not what I want to get into. Basically, I've already tried to implement this strategy before in my previous videos. You can check them out if you want. I was trying to try to identify a parabolic movement, because what happens is as the price goes more farther away from the moving averages, as you can see here, for instance, it's very far away from the 21-day moving average. It almost, it most likely, it almost always corrects back to the moving average. Okay. As it starts to go away, it has to come back. As it goes away, it has to come back eventually. Okay. So I was trying to look for something that would tell me how far away I am from the moving average, and MACD does this very perfectly, because here we can see it graphically and also on the bar chart. So each of these bars shows you how far away we are from the orange line, so from our base moving average. So the higher the candle, the bigger the candle, the more deviated we are, and thus the more likely we are to reverse or to catch, to at least go back to the mean. Okay. Of course, this will fail sometimes, but I think I should have taken profit here. Okay. As you can see, we can start to see that the moving averages were getting very separated. If we drew a line here, you can see that they are very separated, and also we can also start to see that we are having a big progressively bigger deviation from the moving average, but then we started to decline. So as soon as we start to see a ladder up that then starts to fall, it's time to take some profit out. Okay, then the same thing happens here. We have here, particularly if we look at here, we are having starting to have a big deviation, so we could have taken profit also here and also here, and maybe here was a little bit not as obvious because the difference wouldn't be so big. But just if we had secured some of the profits here, and I'm only talking about Bitcoin, but we can do this in other altcoins as well. But if I had secured profit here, one of two things could happen. One is we would have a big drop, and I would have bought more here, and I would be in a much better position now. I would have bought back lower, or if we did continue to go in a downtrend, I would have still have secured some of the profits. Of course, I'm not planning to take out a lot. I was thinking something like 10%, maybe as the price goes nearer to my targets, which are around 100 to 200K for Bitcoin, start taking more aggressively, like 25, 30%. But the idea is to start taking profit more regularly. I think that would be beneficial for me most certainly, and maybe for you too. Uh, and this is only for Bitcoin. So if we go to Ethereum, for instance, we could have done exactly the same thing. Ethereum not as easy because, as we know, the price movement hasn't been as parabolic. But maybe we could have taken it out some here, but not as obvious as on Bitcoin. But clearly here we could see that we were clearly overextended, and that most certainly the momentum would need to reverse even for a little while. So we could have taken some profit here. It would have been good at timing the top. It's not always good at timing the top. Maybe we would have taken it out at 4,000, not 4,400, but who cares, right? It's a little bit deviation. We don't want to time the top. We want to time close to the top, but not necessarily the exact top, okay? ADA, exactly the same thing. ADA is one of my biggest positions, as you guys know. And as you can see, we have been trailing, but every time we deviate too much from the moving average, we need to come down. And as you can see here, the price was perfectly building up huge momentum, and then it starts to drop perfectly. So this is like a textbook example. If as soon as we start to see a big separation on the lines and a switch in the candle color showing us that the momentum is starting to decline, here we take profit. If we had taken profit here at $1, we would have not be able to buy back lower. That is true. But we would have taken 10% out, for instance. It's not that much. We don't lose that much to the upside, but we secure some profits. The same thing here. If I had sold right around here at 250, I would have bought it back at about $1. So this is a big increase. Or if, let's say, it continues to decline, I could have opted either to buy it back even lower or to not buy back in. Okay, it could be an option. And the same thing applies for most of the coins. Like DOT is also one of my biggest holdings, as you guys know too. Big run up from DOT here, and also perfectly the ladders are starting to pile up. Here we could have a reversal, but as you can see, we're not as separated. But here we are very separated. A reversal times the top almost perfectly. We would have taken profit. And then I would have bought back around here, not maybe around here, but DOT was around $20 for a long time, and this would have mean that I would have bought double the DOT, because I would have sold at 40 and bought back at 20. If we did continue to go down, I would have maybe not bought back in, but I would have secured some profits. Okay, so that's the biggest message I wanted to pass on to you guys, is that I think that this is something I'm gonna try to do by default. And maybe something you can also try to implement in your practice if you think it can save you from further downside. Okay, that was basically it. Just to give you some context on where I think Bitcoin is going. Well, on the weekly, we usually, as soon as we lose the 21-day moving average, we start a bear market. Okay, so this, at least for me, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not as confident as I have been before, but I'm trying to stay as rational as possible. So I want to be ready for admit that maybe things will not go as I want. But I think we are not at the top of the bull market, but we need to consider that can be an option. But anyways, if we do manage to close this weekly candle above the 21-day moving average, we are pretty much, I would say, safe. So we need to close right above 55K. I think it's hard that in 3 days we go back to 45K, but who knows? Like, we just dropped, I don't know, like 50% in a day, so who knows? As for the daily, we are now reaching a point of resistance, which is our previous point that I would think would be our support. It's now resistance, and it's also the 200-day moving average. So if we do close today above 42K, that's pretty bullish. Let's hope we can do it. And we could also see an engulfing pattern. Who knows? On the 4-hour chart, what are we seeing? We are seeing maybe we caught the bottom, because it looks like we are starting to try to put in. So this is a low. We have a higher low. Maybe we can print a higher low here, and we're also trying to print higher highs through here. So maybe we are starting to reverse. Who knows? And as you can see, we have been bearish retesting the 21-day moving average. So we retested here, bearish, retested, bearish, retested, bearish. So if we can go above and retest it bullish, that's good. What can also happen is that maybe we retest bearish, but instead of printing a lower low, we can go back and print a lower high, and that we can also signal a reversal of the trend, okay? And maybe that we have hit the bottom. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. Just want to give out my thoughts about what I'm going to try to change on my strategy to keep it transparent with you guys, and to also make you know that, like, I'm not I'm in it like you guys. I also take my losses, and what we need to do with losses is try to understand what we have done wrong and how we can do it better, okay? And not cry over what could have been and what wasn't. So next time Bitcoin starts going up, I am taking profit, and I will apply it to the other altcoins as well. And then we'll see if things go, if we have a dip, I'll buy back the dip. If we start going into a bear market, I will still have some profits left. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.